This is some of the haul from Daiso. This is Pretz, which is sort of almost like a Pocky, but it tastes like tomatoey, pizza-y. It's delicious. As you can tell, I got 3 boxes. Some Pokemon candy. I've had these before. They're really good. They're like grape and cherry, but then they have a white side, which is sort of like a, I don't know, it's staticky on your tongue, electric on your tongue. It's almost like, yeah, I don't know how to describe it, but it's good. Super Lemon. I'm a big fan of the Super series. These have like a powder on them that's super intense, and then a regular like sweet candy, and then inside there's like a little gel. Super Lemon's great. This is my favorite Super Soda. They're like super intense when you first get them. There's also a cola and some others. The only one I don't like is the Umaboshi because it tastes like horrible. This is, oh, these are like cheese doodles, but it's got this light salt flavor instead of cheese. I've never had them before. I'm going to try them. This is the regular sort of cheese doodle sort of ones that are pretty good. Q likes them better than me. I got these. These are like ramen potato chips, kind of. And as you can see, I opened it like when we were still in the store. I was hungry. And if you look, they're kind of like 4 ramen noodles glued together. They're not bad. I feel like they could use a little more flavor. This I never had before, so this little frog guy. And this is some kind of seaweed puff. What is it again? Yeah, some kind of seaweed puff or something. Got these thinking I'd like them. It's got a cute little ghost. That means they should taste good. And they're chocolate-covered rice cake with peanut butter inside. So I'm like, awesome. But it's not a rice cake like in America. It's not a Rice Krispie treat. It's not even like a rice cake like, you know, the diet ones, which I like. It's like more like mochi, like that kind of ice cream. And it's chewy, and it was gross, and I didn't like it. Star Chip. Chip Star. Salt and vinegar. Haven't tried it yet, but I like salt and vinegar chips. Here is some special Pocky and some regular Pocky that Q got. I don't know what makes that special, but it is. And then we just got some fancy ramen, which means instead of costing 10 cents a piece, they were like 20 cents a piece. Yeah, so that is our awesome Daiso Mitsuya food snack plethora.
Welcome once again to 100 Days of Making Comics with me, Gazbot, your venerable host. Today, the day is numbered 90. Together, 90. 9 times 10. 1 times 90. 90 times 0 plus 90. I'm going to stop because I'm going to get into harder math and I'll mess it up. So, day 90 of 100 Days of Making Comics. And what is 100 Days of Making Comics? Well, it's when I put 30 minutes or more aside of blah, 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 blah to work on my own thing. My own thing is my comic, The Horror A4, which is a kaiju giant monster themed book about a world where there were giant monsters and giant heroes, like Godzilla, Ultraman type characters, but no one has seen either one of that sort of thing in over 100 years. The world has moved on, but suddenly, a new monster that the people call The Horror has returned, and how are they going to deal with it? So that's that. So today, it was Sunday, it was a lazy day, did some housework, didn't do any client work today, which is nuts. I did some housework, went for a bike ride, took one reference photo. Actually, I'll throw it up here. It's not super exciting, but just some cool pipes. So this is what I found. Beep, 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 some cool pipes. But I did work on The Horror. I actually, in my head, was like, I'm going to do so much work on The Horror, but I didn't do so much work. I did a good chunk. I did about 2 hours, but I often manage that during the week when I'm also doing client work, so I managed to fill my day with other things like hanging out with Q and, you know, housework and things anyway. But regardless, I'm not upset. 2 hours is a good amount. Once again, I did one panel, and maybe it was a hair under 2 hours now that I'm thinking about it. What happens often, like, I feel like I probably finished the panel in like an hour and 45 minutes, and then I spent 15 minutes saving it multiple different ways for the slideshow and, you know, backing it up and, you know, cleaning up the edges and stuff. And it's funny because I do the slideshows often for 2 reasons. I do the slideshows rather than the speed process. One is I think it saves me time rather. I don't know that it does. For the narration, it doesn't, because I got to narrate over either one. I got to crossfade and whatever. But I think when I'm uploading that big chunk of file of like half hour, 2 hours, it takes like 10 minutes to then speed up and then compress. And then, so it adds like a half hour of processing time when I do those, whereas the images that I crossfade, even if it takes me a few minutes to get them ready, they upload super easy and you know, compress super easy. The other reason I prefer not to do the process videos all the time is because I have to limit everything to one monitor, which means I can't watch any videos or do anything with my other monitor at all. So I'm limited to just music and podcasts, which is fine. And actually, you know, today I mostly listen to podcasts, so I totally could have done that. But and actually, the podcast I was listening to was called Thunder Punch Daily, which is an old Jerzy Drozd one. I don't know if he still updates it. Jerzy Drozd, for me, was most well known for doing art and story with originally Mark Rudolph, and then, hey, our own Kevin Cross was a co-host on that for a while. And that's actually where I first heard of Kevin Cross, because I had found art and story. Now I'm not sure if I found art and story or Big Illustration Party Time first. I think I found art and story first. And they mentioned, oh, there's this other podcast called, Big Illustration Party Time, which was Kevin Cross and his partner on that, who I am blanking on. But I'll put a link to both of those podcasts in the show notes. But we're all three of them, I guess, now, because Thunder Punch is Jerzy Drozd, and I guess at some point it was a pay one, but it's not anymore, or at least it used to be partially paid. Whatever. The point is, there's like 100+ episodes, and I was going through some of the old ones, although it started with like 80 or something. But anyway, it's still relevant info to comic artists and professionals and things like that. And he's a good speaking voice, a good radio presenter type of person. But the ones I'm listening to are like from 2012 or something. And so what's funny is he was talking, one of the ones I was recently listening to, and it's not that funny because it's something that artists talk about all the time, but time management. And specifically, different ways you could do time management to get your work on your... And he was talking about getting work done on his own projects. And he's like, I realized it's the first time I drew something for myself in a week or two. And then he's like, there's other people I know that do, webcasts and things and make themselves accountable so that then they're forced to do it. And I'm like, wait, so this is a comic artist who is wishing he had more time to spend on his own projects and thinks that if there was a way to put it out there publicly and make himself accountable, that might be a way to do it. And I'm like, the 100s, it's for him. And then I'm like, yeah, but this was like 3 years ago. It might not be the most relevant topic on his mind anymore. And I have no idea, there's like 3 years worth of podcast I haven't listened to, so I have no idea what he's doing now. He could be, working for Marvel. I don't know. No, I know he's not. Well, I don't know he's not, but I went off on a thing there. Anyway, I worked on the horror. I got another panel done. So 1, 2, 3. There's the fourth panel out of, I think, 6 panels on this page. Again, slow going, but it's going. And once again, I experimented with the grays. I don't know that I've yet landed on the final version, but I like this one. What I was a little concerned with was compared to the other panels, it definitely stuck out more. Like the other 3 panels were all slightly different in terms of the way I grade them, but this one was a lot more jarring. And I'm not sure if it's just the way I did the grays or maybe because of the thickness of the ink lines, even though I use the same brushes. Usually I start with a 13 for my thick, then I go 9 and 5, and if I want to really fine detail, I'll go 3. And then sometimes I'll put, and then I put grays and whites and whatever. But I may have zoomed in more or less on the different panels so that like the 13 I was using in this panel seems a lot thicker and darker and bigger than the 13 on the others, which luckily it's a close-up, so contextually that could be fine, but it wasn't on purpose. So I'm probably going to need to set a permanent, like, I can't go in more than 50%, or I'm drawing at 200%, or sort of some sort of standard for zooming in and out, a parameter to keep all the panels consistent on a page and all the pages consistent in a book, which isn't something I've really had to deal with too much in the past. I guess, I don't know why, maybe I didn't break the panels up as much, or I'm not sure. And maybe it isn't an issue, but it's just something I noticed that I'm going to keep an eye on. But I'll go ahead and put up the crossfades of panel 4 right now and do a little commentary over it. So, Kra-chung!
So this was a crane coming in, that's the rough picture, and it's smashing through a tree, and I kind of wanted it to be a little... almost like a monster coming in. Here I threw some perspective lines on a rough to make it more accurate, and then this is the initial ink cleanup, and put some rendering lines on it here. And this is, again, this would be me using 9 and 5 on those, whereas the thicker lines were 13. Went ahead and put the background in, which I drew separately, and I realized some of the elements were covered up by the shovel, so I made a layer on top where I duplicated that so it looks more like it's 3-dimensionally crashing into stuff. Then I put some gray shading on the trees and the leaves. And at this point I realized that I should put some blacks on the inking of the shovel to make it pop out more. I thought that did a good job of that. Then I put some grays on the shovel as well as a little bit of a gray impact blast where the tree is ripping. And then I made the grays on the shovel a little darker to pop it out more from the background.
Krav Maga! Okay, we're back. And Krav Maga is a dirty style of fighting that is meant for self-defense only. I want to say like the Israeli army developed it, but I know it involves like, punching people in the groin and using your keys to gouge their eyes out and things like that. It's not a sport. It's not a martial art. It's oh, you want to hurt me? I'm going to hurt you! But anyway, I remember it being really popular in like Brooklyn and, 5 years ago for some reason. But that's pretty much it. Not a super eventful day. And the crazy thing, though, is that for me, I'm so close to the end now, being that it's day 90, that I'm realizing that, like, where I am in relation to the end, when I think back to where I was in the beginning, on day, like, 9, 10, 11, in the same area, I was still like, oh, this is brand new. What am I doing? I still might, in the back of my mind, I'm like, and I do this, I still might quit, And in the back of my mind, I was thinking that. I didn't say it consciously. I didn't even really think it consciously, but it was a thing of like, well, I've done it for like a week. If I bailed now, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It wouldn't be like a huge time investment. People wouldn't judge me so harshly. I could take the videos down, Once I got to like 20, 30, 40, it's like, well, there's no quitting now. That would be such a huge waste of time, and I'd feel like such a failure, But when I was only like a week or two in, and I'm thinking now that I'm on the flip side, I'm like so close to the end, and I'm quitting. No, but it's like, it seems like no time at all. Like, oh, that's like a little bit more than a week. That's nothing. But I remember when I was on, day 10 or 11, I'm like, man, I think I'm really doing this. Man, I've been doing this for like 10 days. It's crazy, Like, but I'm like, that was no time at all. It's so weird how your perspective shifts. It's like similar to like when you're in high school or something, and like 1 year in high school, it seems like forever. And now that I'm out of high school, it's like, oh man, like a year goes by accident. Like, oh crap, another year went by. I didn't even mean to have that happen. But, so it is a thing, like the similar thing with this. And when I'm done, I've talked about this before, I don't plan on quitting the comics, certainly. And I don't plan on quitting YouTube videos. I'm not going to immediately jump into briefly I thought, maybe I'll do like 100 Days of Making Comics Part 2, like immediately, which would be crazy back to back like that. And if it wasn't for the time investment of the videos, I might consider doing that, because I would like to keep up this rhythm that I've got going and this momentum I've got going. But likely I will do a thing similar to some of the other people that are like after 100 Days of Comics, beyond 100 Days of Comics, that sort of thing, where I'll just do an update once a week or so. And if I ever did do another 100 Days of Comics where I was doing updates every day, that would be further down the line. Maybe if I finish this and I start issue 2 or something to kind of jumpstart that. But I will certainly still be a presence on YouTube. I will certainly do some sort of updates. And once I'm freed up to only have to do a video once a week or once every 2 weeks or whatever I feel like it, really, at that point, I'll be more likely to do similar stuff to like a Fan Art Friday, or hey, here I'm trying out a new tool, let's see what I do with that, or just other types of videos that I'll put up whenever, and I'll probably do a few more toy reviews, not that most of you care about that. And yeah, so that's where I am at right now. I'll put up links to all the stuff I talked below, and I hope your day's going well, or night, or afternoon, or whatever. Maybe you're on another planet where they don't have that sort of time. So I hope your Flynn grits is well, and your red chocolate is excellent. But for now, I am signing off from Earth, where we have time, and it is the evening, and it is the day 90. And if it's day 90, well then that means...
Hey, Cars! We've got 10 days left, Cars!